Hey there gamers, DreamcastGuy here, and today we're talking about Nintendo because for the last couple weeks, pretty much all the headlines, all the talks, all the interviews about the Switch 2 have been just overwhelmingly negative because it seems like, genuinely, that the Switch 2 is just going to be worse than the Switch 1. Not as many cool launch games, not as much hype, not as much cool new features, but I want to talk about two stories today because just now they actually released two updates. They said, hey, the amount of games getting a Switch 2 upgrade, a free upgrade that makes it have better resolution or better frame rate, it turns out the puddle is very tiny. Even first-party stuff, even actual Nintendo games by Nintendo, almost none. 99% are just not being upgraded, but they also just confirmed the Switch 2 does not have docked VRR. Variable refresh rate. I'm going to explain what that is and why people are instantly saying, okay, this thing just sucks. I mean, this is a important basic feature that Xbox has, that PC has, that PlayStation has. This is now going to be literally the only gadget that doesn't have VRR, and it just doesn't make sense why it feels like Nintendo is trying to cheap out after having the most successful console of all time. The Nintendo Switch 1 is the highest selling console of all time. And for some reason, the Switch 2, they're like, just shovel it out there. The piggies will slurp it up. But let's talk. Hi, hope you're having a great day. And if you could, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. So let's just start with the fact that Nintendo admits they lied. There has been some hype about the Nintendo Switch 2, especially in Japan and stuff. I see the first displays and stuff popping up, but it feels like every time they show something cool, they got to retract part of it or correct part of it, saying, okay, this is it. Nintendo confirms VRR is only supported for handheld mode. Nintendo Switch 2 supported for VRR in handheld mode. The incorrect information was initially published on the Nintendo Switch 2 website, and we apologize for lying. Nothing to announce on potentially docked VRR mode. Now, the reason this is important is that essentially right now we exist in an area of choice. There are so many different styles of TV, of monitor, of all sorts of different things to not just play your systems, but what to play your systems on. And they all have different refresh rates. Some are 30 FPS, 60 FPS, 45 FPS, 120 FPS. And basically what VRR does is it's an important technology where it can tell what your TV's resolution is, what its frame rate is, and automatically match it. And it makes it where not only do the games look better, it makes it so there isn't screen tearing. It makes it so there's not screen stuttering. There is actually times, if you have the wrong TV or you're playing with something that's not updated and stuff, where you're playing it and it actually looks worse because the console can't properly sync with the TV. It's a very common issue. And it's annoying the fact that this is weird that Nintendo isn't doing it, that they're saying, oh, we just don't have anything to announce. This is a software thing. It's not they have to actually roll out a big update. It's not they have to go in and release a new version of the dock. This is a software thing that's just not ready for launch. Now, to be fair, PlayStation had a similar problem 5 years ago. Back in 2020, originally the PlayStation 5 did not have VRR for a couple months. And then once they released it, I'll be honest, once they released it on the PS5, it was very noticeable. It's one of those features that I didn't realize how crucial it was until I had it. It looks good, and it makes games that look great look even better. And a lot of people in the replies are like, bro, what the hell? Like, why? This console is becoming more and more of a joke. I'm genuinely considering canceling my pre-order and just buying a physical copy of Metroid Prime 4 and playing it on PC. Basically, they're saying they're going to emulate it. This is the thing, is that literally, the more you research the Nintendo Switch 2, the more it just seems like a downgrade. It's got a worse battery life in a lot of ways. Its controllers are more expensive, its games are more expensive, and now we know that just across the board, if I could get a $200 Switch Lite, which does play games, does have a good battery life, does at least play cool exclusives, or the Switch 2, which currently is going to have one exclusive, which is Mario Kart World, which I don't even really care about. It just seems like at this point, if I was trying to tell somebody, hey, if you want to get into Nintendo gaming, I'd actually recommend a Switch OLED over the Switch 2. Maybe that'll change once we get, 6 months, a year down the road. But this has got to be literally, provably the worst launch ever for the Nintendo Switch 2. it seems like Nintendo is trying to sort of soften the blow and say, yeah, this sucks. Yeah, the other news sucks. Last night, I did a video about the fact that Nintendo confirmed they're not going to let people review the Nintendo Switch 2. They're keeping it behind closed doors until after it's out. Journalists, influencers, tech people, freaking everybody, even major gaming websites, nobody is allowed to play the Nintendo Switch 2 to review it. In my opinion, that's the biggest red flag. But they're also being like, oh, check it out. Here's all the free updates. Because keep in mind, I still think it's incredibly scummy. There are paid updates, games where you buy it. You already own a $60 game on your Nintendo Switch. If you want to play it on your Switch 2 at better frame rate, you have to pay $10 additional. I still think that is extremely scummy. But now they're trying to be like, oh, well, not every game is paid. Some are free. Now, okay, so two things at once. One, the amount of games that are being upgraded, very, very hit and miss. Some of the games that are getting upgraded, people are basically like, okay, I don't even really notice it. Hey, look, you can now play the incredibly glitchy Pokemon Scarlet and Violet in 4K. People are like, okay, I don't care if it looks better. It's still a Switch game. I want to be able to play it without it looking like a slideshow after 5 minutes. Can't do a graphical update correctly. Literally, everybody is like, bro, honestly, this is about what I was expecting because they just said they were going to upscale it. It doesn't fix the pop-in. It doesn't fix the bad graphics. It doesn't fix anything, which are the actual biggest issues. It's so stupid to me how much it just seems like they don't care about releasing an actually good product. But here's the other part I've noticed a lot of people talking about is that, okay, yes, some games are getting a frame rate bump. Some games are getting a resolution bump. But why these? Like, why Game Builder Garage or Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, which is just a Wii U port on the Switch? People are like, okay, what about these? Whether they're free or paid. Fire Emblem 3 Houses, Luigi's Mansion, Pikmin 3 and 4, Xenoblade. That would be fantastic. It is extremely weird to me that, in a lot of ways, I'm just going to say it, I feel like the Nintendo Switch 2 feels like a minimum viable product. Have you ever heard that term? I feel like it's one of the most evil, negative terms in the entire gaming industry. Minimal viable product. It basically means, okay, how little can we work on this? How little can we spend on this? How little can we actually care before we release it and not get sued? Basically, okay, we're contractually, this has happened in the past where a company, they take pre-orders on like a DLC, an expansion pack, and then for whatever reason the game sells bad, and they go, okay, well, we already took the money for that DLC, we legally have to release something. If we don't, we get sued to hell. What is the minimum viable product? How little of an expansion can we make without actually ending up with a class action lawsuit? This feels like that. This feels like Nintendo literally said, okay, how lazy can we be with the Nintendo Switch 2 before people just straight up refuse to buy it? We're truly in the dark timeline. And I gotta say that I wanted the Nintendo Switch 2 to be more than just a straight upgrade. I wanted it to be interesting. I wanted it to be fun. I wanted it to have games that actually seemed like the next generation of Nintendo. And clearly they just didn't care enough to even half-ass it. But how do you feel about the Nintendo Switch 2? And hopefully you're having a very good day. I'm about to drink a big old cup of coffee and eat my breakfast. But I love you very much. Hope you're having a good one. And if you could please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And please keep dreaming.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.